Hey, hey. All right, welcome everyone. I know that it is like super late and I was in the middle of doing labels and got caught up in the story that like just came out. What's up, Janelle? And I'm like, do I wait till tomorrow to cover this story? Do I do it tonight? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it tonight. So here we are. Like I said, this story was like completely unexpected. I didn't even expect to find it, but I'm kind of taken back by it. I may even do this as like part one and part two. Like I may do part two tomorrow because I really want to get other people's opinions on it and not just how I feel. But let me give you the background. Like I said, I just came across it 10, 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. So it's super early there. It's super late here. And it is 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't even believe I'm starting a live at 1 in the morning. But let me say hi to all members, Patreons, everyone in between. Let me play the news story first. And I want you guys' opinions. Hold on. All right.
Tonight in Enfield.
Hold on. What's up, Blue-Eyed Angel?
Mother is suing two popular social media sites after her 11-year-old daughter died by suicide. Selena Rodriguez says her daughter developed an extreme addiction to social media before her death last summer. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Courtney Zeller is joining us live from Enfield tonight with more. Courtney.
Well, Aaron, according to this.
What? You couldn't hear me. I forgot I didn't have it on. Okay. So keep in mind, though, that an 11-year-old girl committed suicide. And the reason she committed suicide, according to the mom, is due to social media. Now, keep that in the back of your mind.
23-page lawsuit. The 11-year-old started using social media 2 years ago. Now, we don't know how much the family is suing for. I asked the attorney that question today. He says it's not about money. It's about holding these companies accountable.
All right. Sorry about that. Social media is a platform. They don't monitor it. I mean, they do to a certain extent, but they don't monitor it like you need to monitor it in your own home. So I find it kind of strange that, well, you can hear me now. You can hear me now, though, right? I see it's working. You should be able to hear me now. Heads up. Yes, no, maybe so. I think you guys can hear me now. There has to be sound now. All right, now there's sound. Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So, social media, like Instagram, doesn't monitor you. They give you a platform. They're like a website. That's all they are, is a website. You upload your content. It's in charge of you. So that's why I don't think this woman has a chance at this lawsuit, but I want you guys to see it anyway. Hey, Heart.
11-year-old Selena Rodriguez was once a happy, creative kid, but that quickly changed when the Enfield student became hooked to social media. Last July,
Tonight, an Enfield mother is suing two popular social
spoke with one of the attorneys on the case, Matthew Bergman.
And this is what we have come to learn, is that these are addictive products, particularly in the hands of a child whose brain isn't completely developed.
In the lawsuit, Tammy claims Selena developed an extreme addiction to social media for 2 years. She attempted multiple times to reduce or limit her daughter's use. Since there are no parental controls, Tammy says she would physically take away her daughter's devices. But that would cause Selena to run away in order to access her social media accounts on other devices. Tammy then turned to the help of medical professionals. In the lawsuit, an outpatient therapist evaluated the 11-year-old, saying she had never seen a patient as addicted to social media as Selena. In the months leading up to Selena's suicide, she was experiencing severe sleep deprivation that was caused and aggravated by her addiction to Instagram and Snapchat.
Okay, I'm going to stop it again. And I'm going to say I completely disagree with this attorney. Your daughter is 11 years old. That is on you to monitor your children. To say that your daughter is running away due to you not monitoring her social media, or you're going to give in, there was more going on, in my opinion. There was a lot more going on with this than social media. Whether the mom didn't want to see it or not, there was a lot more going on here.
In the 12 to 16 age range, there's been, according to the CDC, 146% increase in suicidality.
Her mother claims it got worse during the COVID-19 pandemic as Selena spent more time on the social media sites. Bergman says they are looking to hold these companies accountable.
This is not a case about money. This is a case about trying to get these companies to take responsibility for the virtual carnage that they are inflicting.
Okay, again, what does he want the platform to do? The platform is a website. You upload what you choose for the website. To say that it's their responsibility, no, it's not. I'm sorry, it's just not their responsibility, in my opinion.
On American teens.
And we reached out to those social media companies today. We haven't heard back yet. We're live from Enfield. Courtney Zeller, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Tonight, an Enfield mother
Oh my God. I can't stand when I fucking do that. I apologize. Totally apologize. I know you got me again, though. You got it now. I am sorry. So this happened in July of 2021. Hey, Bubbles. July of 2021. Her 11-year-old daughter died by suicide. I haven't been able to find out how she died. Because, like, again, the candles take to ship usually 5 to 6 days. Now, you got it now. You hear me now, though, right? Okay. So, she started using social media heavily when she was 9. I'm not muted anymore. The legal documents filed in San Francisco federal court stated that she developed an extreme addiction to Instagram and Snapchat. The complaint explains that Selena began suffering from depression, sleep deprivation, and eating disorders all around this time. Now, as a mom, shouldn't that be your focus? Don't worry so much about the social media aspect as you need to about the eating disorder, the sleep deprivation, the depression. That's a time you kind of need to start focusing on that and not so much on the social media. No, the daughter. Rodriguez says her daughter also started to self-harm, miss school, and men allegedly sent Selena messages asking her to send them sexually explicit content of herself. At that point, you get rid of your daughter's social media and you explain to her what's going on. If it's too much, then go get her help. Go get her psychological help, because it sounds like that's what she needed. And you want to blame Instagram? No, actually, I kind of blame your parenting. I hate to say it, but I do. She said that she attempted to get her daughter help through therapy and mental health services, she states in the court filing. One of the therapists who saw her daughter said that they'd never seen a patient as addicted to social media as Selena. Selena at one point had to be taken to the hospital for emergency psychiatric care. Rodriguez's lawsuit complains that social media, particularly Snapchat and Facebook's dangerous and defective social media products, allegedly contributed to her daughter committing suicide. Spokesperson for Snap told Insider that it can't speak on the active case, but mentioned that nothing is more important to us than the well-being of our community. We are devastated to hear of Selena's passing, and our hearts go out to her family. Snapchat helps people communicate with their real friends without some of the public pressure and social comparison features of traditional social media sites, and intentionally makes it hard for strangers to contact young people. The Snap spokesperson continued saying, "We work closely with many mental health organizations to provide in-app tools and resources for Snapchatters as part of our ongoing to keep our community safe." Okay. I'm not muted anymore. I'm sorry, but again, I feel like this falls on the parent. The mom is saying that she's done everything she could possibly do. I don't know if I believe that. And I'm not like downing the mom, but I'm sorry, there has to be more that this mother could have done. And I know that sounds terrible, but I just feel like there's more this mother could have done. This is your daughter. So there's another news story.
Filed in federal court on Thursday against Instagram's parent company Meta and Snapchat's parent company Snap. It called the social media companies deceptive and dangerous. Enfield mom Tammy Rodriguez has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against two social media companies after her 11-year-old daughter died by suicide last summer. The lawsuit claims she struggled for more than 2 years with a, quote, extreme addiction to Instagram and Snapchat, and experienced severe sleep deprivation in the months leading up to her death. The suit accuses the companies of investing, quote, billions of dollars to intentionally design their products to be addictive and encourage use that they know to be problematic and highly detrimental to their users' mental health.
These companies' financial models are based on how long somebody stays on the screen. And as a result, they try and identify ways to keep the children addicted and consumed in this.
State Senator Dr. Saud Anwar is co-chair of the Committee on Children. He's calling for children's data to be protected, saying many don't know that when they're signing up, they're also giving away their information.
BlackRock, I totally agree with that. What happened to putting your kids in sports? What happened to getting your kids outside of social media? And I'm sorry, I gotta blame the parents, not social media.
Their data should be protected and could not be used for advertisement or any form of wrongful algorithmic ways of keeping them entrenched within these sites. So I'm hoping that we will, at least in our state, do something about this.
According to the lawsuit, Rodriguez brought her daughter to a therapist who told her she, quote, had never seen a patient as addicted to social media as the 11-year-old. Most social media sites, including Instagram and Snapchat, require users to be at least 13 years old before signing up. Dr. Laura Saunders, a psychologist at Harvard Healthcare's Institute of Living, says those guidelines are in place for a reason.
Because they do come with inherent risks. The risks are that there is an anonymous veil when someone is making a comment or posting pictures or doing things that they would not typically do if the interaction was in person.
In response to the lawsuit, Snap sent Fox 61 a statement saying they cannot comment on active litigation, but said in part, quote, we work closely with many mental health organizations to provide in-app tools and resources for Snapchatters as part of our ongoing work to keep our community safe. I did also reach out to Meta for comment, but I haven't heard back just yet. And Dr. Saunders says that kids can use these apps responsibly, but she does encourage parents to monitor their children's activity. Live in Enfield, Gabby Molina, Fox.
All right. So once again, I'm going to go back to what I said. And I'm sorry, but parents are responsible. It is not a website that's responsible. Like, I just don't see how she could win this lawsuit. And when I first found the article, I'm like, what? Hold on, let me go back to... Hold on. Where'd it go? There it is. So the lawsuit, one of the things the lawsuit is claiming is that, and again, I am so new to this story. I literally found it now. It's like probably around 12:30 I found this story. So I'm not that, like, I don't know that much about it. I'm kind of going as I go along. But according to the lawsuit, it's saying that Snapchat and Instagram are not only addictive, but they have no tools to prevent children from being sexually exploited or abused, including a system that notifies their parents. I'm sorry, but again, this is up to the parents. This is not up to Instagram. You know, your daughter was 11. Your daughter shouldn't even be on social media at 11. So I don't know how you're going to win a lawsuit. I really don't. Yeah, I can't find out. I haven't been able to find how she committed suicide. Let me see. Thank you, Winter Moon. They're saying Selena's suicide is a direct result of the inaction and deliberate thing of social media. Hold on. Thank you, Winter. So there's a social media victims law center. It's a legal resource for parents of teenage victims suffering from depression, eating disorder, hospitalization, sexual exploitation, self-harm, or suicide as a result of social media cyberbullying. Ooh, maybe I should call them. Today announced that they filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Meta Platforms and Snap Inc. to hold each accountable in the death of 11-year-old Selena Rodriguez. That's why it's in I was wondering why it was filed in San Francisco. Specifically, the suit alleges that Meta Platforms and Snap failed to provide adequate safeguards from harmful and exploitive children content, verify minors' users' age and identity, adequate parental control and monitoring, protect minor users from intentionally being directed to harm and exploitive content, offer protection from minor users from being sexually exploited and abused, design non-addictive social media products, and provide adequate notification to parents about the dangerous and problematic usage of social media by minor users. Come on. They got to be kidding me. And they really think they can win this. Specifically, the suit alleges that Meta Platforms and Snap failed to provide adequate safeguards. Oh, I just said that. This isn't a question of opinion. Internal documents and testified before Congress by a former employee revealed that Meta Platforms was fully aware of the flaws and addictive properties of its social media platforms and failed to adequately design their products to protect minor users from harm. Again, I still don't see that this falls on the platform, especially when this kid was 11 and they say that the daughter shouldn't have been on it in the first place. Similarly, no safeguards are in place. All right, she struggled more than 2 years. We got all that. And here's another thing. Why would a therapist say that she'd never seen a patient as addicted to social media as Selena? Instead of saying something like that, why didn't you do something about it? Why didn't you change it? Like, why didn't you get her in an inpatient program and treat her for addiction if that's what her problem was? Like, that's where I don't understand this story. Like, why not treat it like any other addiction? You know, there's been a lot of talk lately coming back around, and this is probably why the story jumped at me about addiction. Addiction isn't just drugs. A lot of people think addiction is just if you're an addict, you're a drug addict. No, there's a lot of other things that go with addiction besides drugs. I have a son that is a food addict, 100% food addict. We have tried everything to curb him. Nothing works. Finally, I just started putting a lock on stuff. This way, when my other kids wake up, they actually have food to eat. Instead of someone waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning and going in the fridge when everybody's sleeping and eating half the fridge. You know, there's a lot of rumors about that went on. But what do you do for an addict? You don't make it accessible. You don't make their addiction easy for them. Then you're enabling them. And people don't realize when it comes to food, there's people that binge and then there's true addicts. And I know my son is a true addict. So I have to be the responsible parent and make sure that his addiction is not easily met. So, you know, you hear a lot of rumors, but at the end of the day, a parent knows what's going to work best for their child. And I have a hard time with, you know, when they talk about, you know, that they knew she was addicted to something. So why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you treat that addiction like any other addiction? Okay, she ran away. Well, make sure she can't run away. You know, do whatever you have to do. Put locks on doors. Do whatever you have to do. Just make sure that her addiction is not easily accessible. I'm a big believer in that. And sorry, I'm not reading chat that much. It's hard when I'm on camera. But I know you guys were bitching I'm not on camera enough, so. Not my job to raise your child. Exactly. Tough love. It's more than tough love. It's, as an addict myself, if I had drugs in front of me all the time, I would do them because they're in front of me. When social media might be everywhere, it's on your phones, it's on this, okay. So you have to figure out a way that's going to work, that she's not going to have access to it more than, let's say, 10 minutes a day, or, you know, make set times. Like, that's where parenting comes into play. You have to be a better parent. You know, my son, his addiction is food. So lock the food up. And this way he doesn't have access to it. That's it. It's that simple. You be a better parent. Thank you, Blue-Eyed Angel. Some people do. So she experienced the sleep deprivation. They say COVID made it worse. Okay, she's 11. How really did COVID make it that much worse? She's 11 years old. Selena spent even more time on Instagram and Snapchat, which only worsened her depression and her level of sleep deprivation. This addiction resulted in multiple absences from school and a subsequent investigation by the Connecticut Department of Children and Family. So, okay, so now we have redirection. Thank you. So now we have that the addiction resulted in multiple absences from school. Whose fault is that? That's the mom's fault. Sorry, but it is. And let me all say, I am not blaming the mom for her daughter's death, but I'm talking more about the lawsuit, that this woman does not have a chance in hell of winning this lawsuit, because if average regular people like us see it the same way, I don't think she has a shot in hell. I really don't. That's what I'm saying, D. Put her in treatment facility. Anything that has to do with addiction. It doesn't matter what the addiction is. Treat the addiction. Don't look at, well, it's social media, so it's not really an addiction. Treat the addiction. Treat the addict. Don't treat what's causing it. You're my age. To see how much this generation lacks self-accountability, a lot do. I agree. Remember when social media took off or made something called a V-chip? I don't remember the V-chip. Everywhere you go, almost everyone has a phone in their face and everyone doing virtual schooling. That's true. My kids are off for the next 5 days. A mother is responsible. Absolutely. Throw a phone away. Or get her a flip phone. We had a flip phone for my dad. So while on Instagram and Snapchat, Selena was constantly solicited for sexually exploitive content. I don't understand that, because I've never been propositioned on either. I don't really use Snapchat, but I know on Instagram, I don't see how she was sexually confronted on Instagram. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't know. Which were leaked and shared with her classmates. Increasingly, the ridicule and embarrassment she experienced at school. So, all right. She succumbed to the pressure and sent sexually explicit images using Snapchat, which were leaked and shared with her classmates. Again, my daughter, there was a time a couple of years ago that her best friend was sending nudes out to people. And she told me about it. And we had a long talk. I almost killed her best friend. But I sat down, we had a long talk. I explained to her why this is a no-go, how this come back to haunt you. She wasn't sending it to strangers. She was sending it to boyfriends. My daughter said, absolutely not. I would never. I trust my daughter. And she almost killed a friend too. But I trust my daughter, and I trust her in the sense that she wouldn't do something like that. But again, that's up to me to sit down with my daughter and talk to her about it. It's not up to the media. It's up to me as a parent. As a result, Selena was hospitalized for emergency psychiatric care and experienced worsened depression, poor self-esteem, eating disorders, self-harm, and ultimately suicide. According to the lawsuit, Meta Platforms and Snap knowingly and purposely designed, manufactured, marketed, and sold social media products that were unreasonably dangerous because they were designed to be addictive to minor users, despite knowledge that the foreseeable use of these social media products causes mental and physical harm to minor users. I absolutely disagree with this. For anyone experiencing thoughts of suicide or self-harm, call 911 or the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Victims of social media cyberbullying can contact SMVLC at socialmediavictims.org or by calling 1-800-834-6994. I'm going to call right after this call. No, I'm kidding. I agree. Absolutely agree with that. Sounds like the medical system let this girl down too. Your daughter isn't 11, if she was 11, you probably wouldn't have to make that call. It would be an automatic no. Exactly. Told my dad, exactly. Be careful what you post on Instagram. Be careful what you post on Snapchat. But I just don't see how you can put this on social media when your daughter is not even old enough to be on social media, which is a crazy thing too. Like, I'm sorry, but the second, how long was she in the hospital for? Was she in the hospital for a long time? Was she only in the hospital for 72 hours? That, it doesn't give us. But I just think it's fucked up. I do. I don't, social media is it's a platform. It's not there to, if you're addicted to it, that's on you. There's millions or billions of people that are on social media that aren't addicted to it. It's not like crack. You smoke crack. Most people that smoke crack will get addicted to it. Majority will get addicted to it. Most people aren't addicted to social media to the point that they're going to commit suicide. And she didn't commit suicide due to social media. She committed suicide because you didn't teach her well enough to sit down and understand the dangers of social media or the dangers of sending nude pictures to people. That's on you as a parent. That's not on social media. So that's really all I have on the story. Like I said, there wasn't a lot to it. I just found it. It's brand new. So I want to know your guys' thoughts. That's why I said maybe I'll do a part 2 tomorrow, where I'll do like a call-in of what you guys think. I mean, we could do it now, but it's just a little late. Right there is why my channel is blank. I got hit for that rule due to vaping sponsors. Medical definitely let her down. Parents maybe didn't know she was on, but they said she did know she was on that much. That's why it gets weird. What I didn't know there was a social media victims law center. Psychological complications that needed medication. Yeah, I don't see anything about medication. Is that, yeah, it said that she was sending nudes. While on Instagram and Snapchat, she was constantly solicited for sexually exploitive content. She succumbed to the pressure and sent sexually explicit images using Snapchat, which were leaked and shared with her classmates, increasing the ridicule and embarrassment she experienced at school. And again, to me, that's on the parents. That's not social media. You have to be blunt these days. Exactly. Tell your kids the dangers. Don't hold back or your kids will pay for it. Absolutely. You know, I wish I knew I could find how she committed suicide. Crafting YouTuber Melanie Ham died of cancer at age 36. I don't know who she is. It's one of the titles here. Solicit or not, that's peddling CP2. Poor parenting, I agree. Yeah, I can look. I don't think she has. In all the things I found real quick, she hasn't. That's the same article.
Last week, a former Facebook employee and whistleblower testified on Capitol Hill in response to a Wall Street Journal report about Instagram.
Okay, this is really interesting. I watched some of this before, and their statistics are pretty wild.
Negative impact on teens' mental health. Frances Haugen says that the company's own internal research shows that at least 5% of teenagers are addicted to Instagram. Facebook has publicly criticized Haugen's testimony. However, in response, the company's vice president of global...
I don't know if she has any siblings. It didn't say.
Affairs recently announced that Instagram will have a new feature that prompts teenagers to take a break. For more, I want to bring in Josh Golan. He is the executive director of Fair Play, a children's media and marketing watchdog. Josh, great to have you with us. So several nonprofits are now banding together to try and, quote, effectively end Facebook's current business model. What is it about the way that Facebook makes money that really needs to change?
Well, I think the big thing is that Facebook's big business model relies on keeping kids on their devices and on the Facebook platforms as long as possible. And in order to do that, it serves them the content that will most likely keep them on Facebook or on Instagram. And often that content isn't good for them because Facebook's algorithms don't care about what's good for kids. They only care about what's good for Facebook's bottom line. So ultimately, we need to change this business model. That means the more time you spend on a platform consuming harmful content, the more money Facebook makes.
And we know that this isn't true exclusively for children. It's also true for adults. But your company, Fair Play, has really focused on children.
Okay, I got news for you. Any kid I know hates Facebook. They think Facebook is for old people. And I don't know any teenager that likes Facebook.
Children, and actually was instrumental in getting Facebook to pause development of its Instagram Kids app Tell us about that campaign.
Sure. So in March, Facebook, it was revealed that Facebook was planning a version of Instagram for younger children. And so we sent a letter signed by over 100 leading child development experts asking Facebook not to do this. We were joined by lawmakers in Washington. 44 state attorneys general wrote to Facebook and said, don't do this, don't go ahead with this. This is an incredibly harmful idea. And more than 250,000 parents have said the same thing to Facebook. So basically what we've been trying to do is make clear that this is something that nobody who cares about children, nobody who's not on Facebook's payroll thinks this is a good idea. It's incredibly harmful. If Instagram is toxic for teens, imagine what it's going to be like for 6, 7, and 8-year-olds who are even less developmentally ready to handle the idea of posting pictures of yourself and uploading them so that others can rate what those pictures look like. The design of Instagram is just completely at odds with what young children need. And so we think this is a terrible idea. We're glad they paused it. Now they need to pull the plug altogether.
By the way, that's his sound, not mine.
And in the past 2 weeks, both the Facebook whistleblower, Frances Haugen, and Facebook's global head of safety, Antigone Davis, testified on Capitol Hill. What stood out to you about their testimonies, and what specific concerns did you have following that?
Well, I think with Ms. Davis's testimony from Facebook, I think what was very clear is that Facebook does not take these issues seriously. They see this as a PR problem, and they want to try and make the bad PR that they've gotten over the last few weeks go away without actually addressing the fundamental underlying problems. With Ms. Hogan's testimony, I think what was so clear is that there are a lot of good people that work within Facebook that have done really important research and brought that research to senior leadership at Facebook that says, hey, let's take a look at the way this Instagram is affecting teens' mental health and well-being. Let's take a look at the fact that it's, kids are being exposed to eating disorder content, and it's making eating disorders worse and suicidal ideation worse. And that was ignored by key leadership at Facebook. I think that's the big key takeaway is that they have the evidence. The evidence was brought to the people that make decisions at Facebook, and they buried it.
And as you point out, Josh, this was their own internal research that we were learning this information from. And it was we learned about it because it was leaked. So I'm wondering, do you think that these social media companies can, in fact, adjust their current platforms to become safer, both for children and for all of us who use it and perhaps get caught in the...
See, and I personally find that TikTok is the worst. I think TikTok is nothing more than a bunch of narcissists that want to look the best, or like I can see TikTok being the worst. And they're not saying that, like they're not showing that.
Those cycles of the algorithms that make us feel badly about ourselves and compare our lives to others. Or is this really the sort of situation that that it's baked into the DNA of these organizations and when it comes to kids really can't be changed?
I think it is baked into the DNA. And, I think that's why we need to keep pressuring the companies to make changes, but we can't rely on the companies to do this on their own. We need better regulation. We need better rules to protect children online. The only rule that we have protecting children online was passed in 1998, before social media even existed, before anybody had a smartphone.
Look at these stats. 9% of U.S. teens say desire to hurt themselves started on Instagram. 34% of teen girls feel extreme desire to look perfect on Instagram. 26% of teens report often seeing posts that make them feel worse about their appearances. 1 in 3 teen girls blame Instagram for making their body issues worse. Wall Street Journal. That is insane to me. Like, I'll go through each one, and I'm sorry, but each one to me comes back the parents. You have to talk to your kid, period. I agree. The girl was too young to be on social media, but look at these stats. These are above 13 years. Like, this is above 13. This is teens like probably 15, 16, 17. 26%. That's insane. But if you think about it, think about when we were growing up, for my older peeps, we looked at magazines, we looked at models. What makes social media any different? It's the same thing. I'm sure our statistics were probably a lot fucking higher. I mean, I don't doubt that ours were a lot higher. But how come nobody put responsibility on the magazines? Magazines had the same amount of responsibility. Nothing changed. They didn't change anything with magazines. It's still the same way today. So why are they putting this blame on social media?
So we need to update the regulations. We may need to make it off limits to these companies to do some of the things that they're doing when it comes to children, because ultimately their responsibility and their concerns are to their shareholders, and it's up to regulators to put brakes on that. And so there's some really good proposals in Congress right now that would do just that. And, we need to keep pressuring companies like Facebook, but ultimately it's up to lawmakers to protect our children.
And of course, all of us as well. And that leads me to my last question, because I understand that you're trying to keep your own 12-year-old daughter off of social media. I wonder, how's that working for you? How does she feel about it? And how long are you expecting that to last?
I don't know how long it's going to last. We'll keep riding this as until it, she's demanding it, and we feel like ultimately, the harms of keeping her off and isolating her from her peers are worse than the harms that would be on social media. But right now, it's going really well. We've raised her very light on screen time from day one, and I think that's allowed her to develop inner resources where when she's bored, she doesn't naturally just look to a screen for entertainment. But also, we've talked a lot to her parents in our community. And so there are other kids who are not on social media. And ultimately, I think that's probably what has to happen in terms of parents, is we need to parent together, because, it's really hard to be the only kid who's not on social media, but it's a lot easier if you're one of a peer group that's not on social media. And so I think that parenting as a community is what might make a difference.
Josh Golan, thank you so much.
I have no doubt that Instagram helped kill my daughter. She had so much to offer, and that's gone. I'm sorry. I did this because of me.
We often use that phrase, oh, this isn't important, it's not life and death. Well, this is.
Molly was the youngest of 3 sisters. At the time, she seemed to be a very ordinary teenager. She was 14. She was future-looking. She was enthusiastic. She handed her homework in that night. She packed her bags and was preparing to go to school the next day. And then when we woke up the next morning, she was dead.
She was
It's just very
14.
sad, and I think you realise in an instant that your life will never be the same. Since her death, we've been able to look back and just scratch the surface at some of the social media accounts that she'd been following. I remember this one, that picture. This world is so cruel. and I don't want to see it anymore. There are accounts from people who were depressed or self-harming or suicidal, and she had quite a lot of such content. Some of that content seemed to be quite positive, perhaps groups of people who were trying to help each other out, find ways to remain positive, to stop self-harming. But some of that content is shocking in that it encourages self-harm. It links self-harm to suicide, and I have no doubt that Instagram helped kill my daughter. The posts on those accounts, they're so often black and white. They're sort of fatalistic. There's no hope. Join our club.
Okay, but, Kate, but, and I really got goosebumps. But kids killed themselves before the internet. Like, we saw things. If you wanted to, it may not have been as easily accessible, but lots of kids killed themselves before the internet and before Instagram.
You're depressed, I'm depressed. There's lots of us. Come inside this virtual club. We didn't know that anything like that could possibly exist on a platform like Instagram. And they're still there. They're still there widely. They're easy to find. They're not hidden. They're very publicly available. And I think tens of thousands of children in this country are looking at them.
What are your thoughts on what you've just seen?
I was going to say I'm not surprised, but I am. Suicide isn't a hashtag. It's an unimaginable, devastating tragedy. If an algorithm behind a social media platform is engineered to encourage further access, in this case, it must be looked at more seriously than if it means the more I type in flowers, the more flowers I get. Fine. The law around suicide is very clear. Aiding and abetting and encouraging somebody to end their lives by suicide is illegal. Anybody who, on or offline, through imagery or words, verbal or written, says you should do it or you could do it like this, is at least potentially complicit.
But that makes Instagram complicit.
I would say they need to look long and hard about changing their algorithms.
See, again, I disagree. I don't think that they can blame Instagram for providing a platform. They can't monitor it. Like, they can't monitor every single thing that goes on there, in my opinion.
To save lives, and do it now. It cannot be right that a child can freely access such graphic imagery. Social media in the industry cannot continue to say, for example, we've put a help button on there. If the algorithm spots you using words like suicide and self-harm 3 or 4 times, will offer you the chance to get help. A child can easily press a button to say no thank you. So if I have a message for the industry, it's take this seriously. Suicide is the leading cause of death in children. How bad does it need to get?
She left some notes, which I think we're lucky to have notes after her death, because she tried to explain how she felt. I'm the problem in everyone's life. I love you all. Stay strong. I'm proud of you. Bless you, Molly. Anyone who knew Molly was looking forward to the way that she would grow up, to the person she would become. She had so much to offer, and that's gone. We have to come to terms with that. The hard thing is, that's all gone with the help of the internet and social media.
That was heavy. That was pretty heavy. Well done, though, but it was heavy. Seven of 12 girls had self-harm prior to being traced by the police. BBC News understands that some of the children had met on other social media platforms but were part of a closed Instagram group. In November of 2020, Instagram introduced new technology to recognize self-harm and suicide content on its app. I can't believe it didn't happen until 2020. That's crazy. That's crazy. Why do people talk about you cam up? I don't watch you much, but I've seen you, though you're attractive, lady. Thank you, Banjo. I don't know. I always cam up. I mean, not always. I go back and forth. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else from the mom. Hey, Doohickey. I don't know. I always came up. I mean, all right. I came up in my own search engine. It says social media responsible for the death of 11-year-old an hour ago. So I click on it. It's my own video. Hey, at least I'm in the algorithm. Yeah, no, the only thing I'm seeing is from the lawyer, and anything else we saw already. Hey, at least I show up on a Google search. Yeah, it's pretty much the same story. Okay, so the story that we just saw, that happened in 2017. So that happened before Instagram had any things in place. It says she went to Instagram and died of suicide after being pushed into a rabbit hole of depression. Yeah. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. Yeah, I can't find anywhere that the mother says anything. Well, that's sad. DoorDash driver, a mom of 3, was shot dead when a car broke down. Robbers attacked her. Well, here's an interesting headline. On Tuesday, the U.S. Marshals announced they found a North Carolina mother and her daughter who hasn't been seen in 5 years. Amber Weber and her daughter Miracle were last seen December 4th, 2016 at a home on Martindale Drive in Fayetteville. Weber was 21 when she disappeared with a daughter who was 1. On January 25th, U.S. Marshals, ATF agents, and the Harnett County Sheriff's Office located Weber and her daughter at a residence and were taken to social services. Weber gave birth to another child during the time she was in hiding. 4 firearms were found inside the home and seized. A man at the residence, identified as Joe Smith, age 59, was arrested and charged with possession. They originally went to the home to investigate a weapons case involving Smith, but found Weber and the children there in the process. Search for Miracle got a boost last year when the Fayetteville Police Department's investigative assistant working with the U.S. Marshals. New leads came that made them found. Family eventually figured Weber was with Joe Smith, the children's father, although never contacted them. Family, however, is relieved Smith was found safe. 5 years. Pregnant Miss America contestant's husband fatally shot in front of Tot's son. Teen arrested. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys. I mean, I could go on and on with highlights. Man and his 2 kids were found dead in an Ohio home on Monday. It's being investigated as a murder-suicide. Shane Elliott, 40, Caleb Elliott, 13, and Grace Elliott, 10, deceased with apparent gunshot wounds. Police responded to the home after the children's mother requested a welfare check. 3 bodies were located in the living room. That's crazy. Crazy. So, all right, I'm going to shut this down and go to sleep because it's already 2 o'clock. But thank you guys for joining me at our midnight hour, 1 o'clock in the morning live. So, I will see you guys later. It was in Preble County. Yeah, I'll show you. Hey, Tommy. If you want to look it up. Crazy, crazy. I want to listen to this before I play it. but it's about Joseph Scott Morgan, by Joseph Scott Morgan, in regards to Justin Harris. Titled it A Drive with Daddy. Today on Body Bags, former death scene investigator and forensic expert Joseph Morgan walks us through the terrible details of the case. All right, but I'm going to go to bed. I will see you guys tomorrow. Like I said, I was doing something totally different and came across that story. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. So, kind of hit me. So, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful night and get some sleep, because I know I will. And I'll see you